Hey, my name's Wes. I'm a worship pastor in North Carolina, and you're watching a video on why. Why, in particular, do we sing in church? This actually is a part of a series of videos that I've created answering commonly asked questions, even though I'd consider this topic to be not something quite so common. Most people take it for granted that we sing in church. But if you'd like to catch any of those other videos, you can tune in right up here by clicking that right there. Today, like I said, we're going to talk about singing in church. Why is it that we sing in the first place? And maybe some of the common misconceptions, objections from the haters out there, as well as 3 reasons, tune in to the end, why I think singing makes all the difference. First, a little backstory I think is required. Number 1, we have to remember that the church has gone from hymnals and looking down and reading actual notes on a page to looking at a team standing on a platform, singing their hearts out and reading words usually behind or to the side that they're singing so that we can join in. That's what most churches are doing nowadays. Typically the lights are a little bit lower, typically it's a little bit louder, and it's kind of easy to blend in as a person who's in the congregation. So much so that you might not even think you're supposed to be singing. You might not even think it matters if you do. Some people feel that way and they're great singers, but they still feel like, I'm not sure why it matters that I tune in. Other people are bad singers and they have their own objections. Like, for example, it's not going to be good if I sing, I'll be a distraction to the people around me. And still other people feel like this is my moment. I'm going to hold my cup of coffee, I might even close my eyes, might take a worshipful sip. Every so often, yeah, that worship team sounds good. And you end up being a little bit more of an observer than you are a participant. A couple of things I would say right off the bat to sort of debunk that. First is that this moment isn't really about you. It's about us. And no one really cares how you sound, especially if it's loud. You're right, nobody's really gonna hear you, but it does matter that you sing. And if you're not that good of a singer, but you'd like to be a better one, practice. And church is a great place to do that. Those are some common objections, but there's also the tradition element as well. We've been doing this for thousands of years. If it's not broke, don't fix it. But more specifically, if you take the Bible at face value, you can look to places like Ephesians chapter 5, Colossians chapter 3 in the New Testament, or in the book of Psalms, Psalm 47 or Psalm 96. These are references, but really there are over 400 mentions of singing in the Bible and 50 direct commands. And so, if you believe in the Bible and call yourself a Christian, maybe we should be singing just based on that fact alone. However, there are also physiological changes that happen inside of us. Lowered blood pressure, increased blood flow, your heart is exercised as you sing, and there's actually a 2013 study by the University of San Francisco that concluded that singing can actually lead to longer, healthier lives. I even read one piece that described our bodies as a resonant tool for the mind and the soul within it, which I think is probably also true, but maybe a little bit more opinion than fact. And so, without further ado, here are 3 reasons why I think singing makes all the difference. Number 1, singing helps to remind us. When we sing the words that are on the screen that are set to some sort of musical melody, we actually remember them, we retain them better than we would if we just heard a speaker say them, even with lots of repetition, or if we read them off of a page or off of a screen. Number 2 is that singing actually encourages us. Whether you're a good singer or not, being together, doing something together is something that's kind of hardwired into us as human beings. And so your mood begins to lift, the mood of people around you begins to lift, and it creates a mutually beneficial experience for everyone. Number 3 is that singing changes us. And on some levels, it is descriptive. We might be singing the promises of God, His promises for us or about us, and that helps us to remember. But it's also prescriptive. The words that we say start to have an effect on how we think and how we feel. They begin to change us from the inside. And actually, some people might think that singing is hypocrisy. I'm not going to talk about how God has made me glad, or I'm blessed, or I'm full of joy when I'm not. And so I'm going to stand back, might even cross my arms, when really, just like the workers at Disney World, who are required to smile and have a better attitude by the end of the day, regardless of how they show up, you as well might have a similar experience where singing begins to change you over the course of a song or several songs. But here's the bottom line, is that singing in church is awesome, but singing alone is pretty great too. So take some time out of your day to exercise, to meditate, to sit quietly, to pray, to read scripture, but also to sing. And you could even try it while you're standing up. You might even lift your hands as well. You could be in the shower, you could be in the car. You might be within earshot of other people, but go for it anyway. And I'll catch you in the next video.